Hi, I'm Chris Stirewalt, and this is Power Play, or at least that's what that animation said, so I'm willing to go with that. Okay, so if you wanted to, let's say, stop Donald Trump from becoming the Republican nominee, time is running out. There's only about a third of the delegates remaining. Trump holds not a prohibitive but stout lead over Ted Cruz, and the territory ahead looks pretty good for Trump. States like California, New York, New Jersey, a lot of open primaries, a lot of chances for Democrats to come over. So could Donald Trump be stopped, or is it really too late? Well, somebody who doesn't think it's too late is Ed Goeas. He is a lot of things. He is the CEO of the Terrence Group and one of the most esteemed Republican pollsters in the biz with a long track record of great success. But he also is the pollster for the Our Principles PAC. The OPP, he's down with OPP in that sense, and it is the Our Principles PAC, which is a multi-million-dollar effort that is now well-funded to stop Donald Trump. Welcome.
That's right.
How you doing?
Thank you.
All right, so it's over. Like, you're not going to stop Donald Trump, right? There are not enough delegates left. Cruz is too far back. Trump's going to get to 1237.
Oh, no. I mean, first of all, if you look at this, is going to go on quite a bit longer. I know everyone keeps talking about Trump has to get 54% or Cruz has to get 80%.
Right.
The real number,
in case he has to get 170,000%. Yes.
The real numbers is that in order to bring this to an end, Trump
Right.
has to get 100% of all the delegates between now and June 7th with California. 100%.
What do you mean? Explain that.
That for him to hit the mark in terms of going over the top, he has to get 100% of the delegates that will be chosen between now and June 7th.
Okay.
42% of those
why isn't
are
it that
proportional.
54% that everybody says?
Well, because you have the 303 that are on California on that June 7th.
Got
My
it.
point being is that this race is going to go at least to then.
Okay.
And with 42% of those being proportional, 72% of all the delegates are in closed primaries as opposed to open primaries. We've only had 5 so far. Trump won 2 of those, he lost 2 of those, and marginally won in Louisiana. There's 11 more of the states that are closed Republican-only voters.
Right.
And one of the things I'm seeing in the numbers is that he gets a lot of attention. To date, he has gotten 38% of the popular vote that's been cast. But he basically has about a third of the Republican vote that is for him.
Right.
But in the process of winning those elections, he is turning off as many Republican voters as he is turning on. And I think that presents a real problem for him. Certainly presents a problem for him in the general election. And that's one of the things that, as you know, I've been looking at very closely.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, one of the things at the beginning of this race, you had 2 candidates that had very high unfavorable ratings, very well known by the electorate. One was Hillary Clinton,
right,
and the other was Donald Trump. They both started off with a 55% unfavorable rating with the voters. Trump has gone up to 60%. Hillary's inched down a little bit to 52%. But they were so deeply ingrained in terms of the feelings that were there. The process normally of winning and moving forward and getting the nomination, usually your numbers get better, but in fact, Trump's has gotten worse.
So what happens in a theoretical general matchup between, and I want you to think about this. This is the most unpopular, the presumptive Democratic nominee and the soon-to-be presumptive Republican nominee are both over 50% in their unfavorability. That doesn't happen. Neither party. Sometimes one party has a Lulu, but this time they both do. What happens in a general election like that?
Well, actually, of the 51 polls that have asked the question of a matchup between the 2 of them, Trump has only been ahead in 5 of those. More importantly, if you look, I checked before I came here, the average of all the recent polls, he's 9 points down to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Rubio is 1 point down. Kasich is actually 5 points up.
Right.
And where that becomes important is really 2 things. One is this group of Republicans, particularly Republican women, who have turned negative towards Trump and are unfavorable towards him. It's not because they feel like he is too conservative and they are moderate, or he's too moderate.
It's not ideological.
It's personal. It is about his character, and they've come to the conclusion they just don't like this guy. And that is a much deeper, much harder thing to come back from. So one of the things you look at is this third of Republicans that are saying, I won't vote for Trump in the fall if he's the nominee.
Right.
Now, some of them will versus Hillary.
Some come home.
Some of them may vote for Hillary, but there's also a concern many of them will just stay at home and not vote.
Right.
And that has ramifications not only on the presidential race, but on the Senate races and on the congressional races.
So when you look at the messages that work with Trump, and you look at or against Trump, what is it that tests best? What moves voters when they hear it?
Well, originally it was that he was kind of late to the party, that he
Right.
was a recent conservative. We in Iowa used that very effectively, talking in that race. But by the time we got to South Carolina, we saw that that 3/4 of the people voting for Trump said he doesn't share my values.
Yeah.
And that's when we made the switch to talking about the victims that he has left in his wake, that he has built his financial fortunes on the back of the little man, leaving thousands of people with ruined lives. Things like Trump University has worked very, very effectively. Probably the most interesting is the message about women.
Yeah.
And the things he said on women. What we find on the messages is using his own words is the most effective thing to use against him.
Oh, they cut an ad that had different women read things that Donald Trump had said. It was brutal. That was brutal.
Well, and the ending of that, is this what you want said to your wives, your children, your daughters, your mothers, is the impact. The interesting thing about that spot, by the way, I know you follow this thing, it's the first political spot that in 24 hours became the #1 spot on YouTube. Over 1 million views in less than 24 hours.
Ed Goeas, he knows how to move numbers. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you. And you, Internet, we thank you. We hope you will come back for more Power Play real soon.